Hi, welcome to Demo Garage. In this episode, I'm going to be making a custom windshield washer reservoir and setting up the whole system. And this is shot after the fact. There it is right there. So come along with me and I'll show you how I did that. Okay, so there's another modification that I'm going to include in this video that's very loosely based on the new wiring I'm putting in. It's the addition of this windshield washer nozzle. If you remember, there's a big hole in the center of the moving bonnet, and it required quite a bit of hosing to be run from about here all the way down and then around the corner and then up. It was actually fiberglass to the inside of the bonnet. And of course it was all messed up and went to a reservoir that was mounted in this area. Well, my plan is to again mount a reservoir in that location, but I'm hoping to drill a hole and have this little guy mounted somewhere on this little piece of valence here. And this is my opportunity to do it since I've got the dash all taken apart again. And let's see, it's gonna be dark, but anyway, I'm hoping there's space up there that won't interfere with the windshield wipers. So that's my attempt, and it might just even require me drilling a hole and seeing where it pops out. And I get, the paint on this is so lovely. If it doesn't work out, I can just fill it and, paint it black again. So I'm not too worried about making a hole and finding out that it's in a bad spot, but I might just have to do that. So let me bring you back. Okay, it's been a long time since I've shot a video on this topic, but this was the original location for the windshield washer, and I didn't like that because it had a hose that ran all along the inside and then along the frame and then in the engine compartment back to a reservoir, and it was fiberglassed in. And when I reconditioned the hood, I got rid of that, and the idea is I've drilled a new hole here in the center, and this whole project was put on pause because I wanted to recover the dash, and I'm at a point where the dash has been installed, and I'm going to be using this nozzle. And it's been so long since I've shot a clip on the windshield wiper, I don't remember what I've talked about, what I haven't. What I done is I purchased an old British windshield washers, but it turned out they weren't long enough in the stem, that pushing them into that hole didn't allow me to put on a nut. They just weren't long enough. And so this unit came from Gray's in England, where all the best TVR parts comes from. Good guy. I've had a recent conversation with him, and yeah, so I bought this from England, and I'm looking forward to installing it. So it's going to be difficult to show this, but the idea is I'm going to install this in the hole that I drilled so many months ago, and then get inside, and I may have to go with a smaller. So the white washer is going to be external, and the rubber washer is going to be internal. I've got some replacement ones that are thinner that I just happen to have. So I don't know, even with all the buildup, whether I can use this one or not, but I can go thinner to give me the longer shank. So let me go ahead and install that in the hole. And actually, I can probably take a quick look what that's going to look like. I'm not too worried about the paint job on this vehicle. Let's see if I can do this one-handed. Knock that off. And then I'm hoping this fits. Okay. So this is what it's going to look like externally. And it'll be minimal, just having a single location, but it does have 2 squirters. So, and those can be adjusted. Anyway, that's what that's going to look like. So I'm going to dive in and see if I can't put these this nut on, tighten it up, and then I'll try and do a clip on how I'm going to run the hose. So let me bring you back. Okay, another quick clip before I finish installing this. I just bought this on Amazon. This is just some inexpensive washer hose, and it's got a really nice fit. And yeah, so this is the hose I'm planning on using. And yeah, so I'll bring you back when I got another clip to show you. Okay, so I think we're in focus there. I think you can just see that I've got this squirter installed and I've got a hose on it. And so the hose just makes a little loop and then comes out in the same location as the oil pressure. So here's the hose, and I got my camera wrapped on it. Okay, so here comes the hose, goes in the same grommeted opening as the oil pressure, and then runs over here to this loop. This is my future location for a reservoir, and so I've got the power going to it for whatever little electric pump that goes on it, but I have not yet found a reservoir that I like or can modify, so I'm probably going to pick something that goes well with the overflow tank. So this is as far as I can take this project for now, but yeah, and some future date I will mount a reservoir with a little motor right there, and I'll be able to hook up the electrical, I'll be able to hook up that hose, and I'll have a functional squirter, and it won't be sticking out here and running a huge hose down here and then back and along the frame and then back along here, this frame, and then to that same location. So that was folly. I don't know why the factory did it that way, but that's not how I'm doing it. I'll bring it back. Okay, so I've got a new project here. I have the vehicle plumbed and wired for a windshield washer spray, but I haven't found anything I liked. And so I'm gonna try and cobble something together. I found this little container. I wanted something small, and I found this container that I thought might look similar to the round overflow radiator vessel that I have in the car. And so I've been collecting parts. I think this was about 35 bucks. The cheap plastic ones are cheaper, but I just didn't like the way they looked. So I found a fairly inexpensive pump, and my thoughts are to, let's see, I'm gonna cut these off, and then I'm going to mount this guy in from the bottom, and then I've got some plugs here, so I'm thinking of plug in the other hole, and then in the top I think I'm gonna mount this guy to connect the output from the pump. And so that's my thoughts so far. If you never see this video, it's because it didn't work out for me. But if you do see this video, then which I hope you will, because I am going to try and make myself a windshield washer reservoir. So I'm going to get to cutting these off, and I'll bring you back when I've made another decision on this project. Okay, thanks. Okay, so I've got these cut off and ground down as much as I'm going to do so. And I tried to stay off the paint, but this is on the very bottom, so it's not going to be very visible. So I need to, I guess, open up one of these two for this grommet and open up the other one to be the right size for one of these plugs. So let me decide on that and I'll bring you back. Okay, so I'm going to pick this one. I'm going to use a little center drill bit, drill out that, and then I think I'm going to use a hole saw. Focus. I think I'm going to use a hole saw to get most of the way, and then I'm going to use, I don't know, a Dremel or something to dress it in. I want it to be a little bit on the tight side so that it's not leaking on me. And then I think I'm going to pick a step drill and do that and see about snapping in one of those plugs. So I'll bring you back when I got something to show you. Okay, so I've got this plug in here. I've got this hole cut, ground open. So I'm going to see if this O-ring fits. And then I'm going to play around with how tight that fit is. This thing's going to need to be assembled in a very peculiar way. I might have to draw a quick sketch on the plumbing. And then I still need to drill a hole designed for the output here. And I think I'm going to slip an O-ring over this. And I think I'm going to drill a small vent hole in this cap. So that's what I'm doing so far. I'll bring you back when I have something to show you. Okay, so I think I'm down to kind of just the plumbing now. And I did take a little chunk out of this grommet just to make it fit better. And I have tested this, but I'm not going to do that with one hand. That's a nice tight fit. So obviously it's going to go this way. Need to slide all this in, and I need to plumb it. I'm going to be using this hose, and yeah. So this is going to be difficult. This is the external part that's going to come up through this hole, and then I need to put there's a brass nut on this table somewhere. So that's going to come from the output. This is the input. And even though this is going to be buried in here somewhere, like that, this is the pickup. So I need to have a loop that comes down to one of the low corners for the pickup. And then this one's going to come up to the external output. And I don't really mind if I'm reducing volume here. I just want it to work. And it's going to sit, you know, somewhat flush like that so that the electrical connections can be made. I'm expecting this one to be watertight, and I think I really like this. I think this is looking awesome. Pretty pleased with how that's going. So I think I'm going to try plumbing it, and then I think I'm going to work on a whiteboard and show you how I plumbed it if that explanation didn't make sense. So I'm going to get to that. I'll bring you back with a final clip, and somewhere in there is going to be a drawing explanation. So yep, I'll bring you back. Okay, so here's another clip. This is the, it's going all the way through, and the plan is to heat this end up with a hair dryer, and then jam it on here, and then once it's installed, I will figure out what the right length is, and then jam this back into one of the corners. And that'll be, you know, the pickup. And then this guy, the short one, comes to here. I've got that installed with some Loctite, so hopefully that won't come loose. And that guy needs to be jammed on here. And of course, I think I'm gonna shorten that as much as possible. I have to kind of snake this guy in somehow. It looks like I might even need to I don't know, even shorten this guy, or sneak it in, sorry. I need to sneak these guys in and then install the grommet, because it's gonna be a little tight. I think I can cut a little bit off of this tube and install it and get it in. And I think just before I bring it to the final depth here, I think I'm going to add some sort of, maybe that 3M sealant that I've been using on the windows. So something like that. But I shall make a decision on the lengths and all of that, and I'll bring you back for another clip. Okay, so I've shortened this little input here, or output, and I got the hose attached. So this one goes to this output. This is the one that gets, you know, put in the corner, and it's now short enough, because I cut it off, to sneak through that grommet. So let me go ahead and do that, and I'll bring you back. Okay, so here's what the pump looks like, and I have used a little bit of that 3M sealant. Boy, this is turning out pretty good. I'm pretty pleased with this. Hopefully none of this leaks, especially that little plug in the bottom. And there's no way I'm going to be able to show you this, but the exit from this pump and the hose coming up to this one is making a nice gentle curve. It isn't crimped or anything. So all I have left to do is to put a small little vent hole in here, figure out the correct length for this guy. Maybe I can find some sort of a little filter. I think these things have a little filter, and jam it down in the hole, and maybe put that O-ring on. But this is turning out exactly like I had in my head. There are a couple places to mount this guy in the vehicle, and I'll be bringing you back shortly to show you what those are. All right, thanks. Oh yeah, look at that. Looks pretty good. I got it all jammed together. The pump's in. I've got a little O-ring there. I drilled a little hole there so I don't create a vacuum of some sort. Little air breather. This guy is ready to install. And I think what's going to happen is I'm going to need to put some spacers on these two to get it in the exact location I want. So the next step is to figure out where I want it, and then figure out how big of spacers I want, and then I can finish installing this. Yeah, no, I'm super pleased how this turned out. I really feel like this is going to give that nice racy look that I was going for. And I think this is way better than anything. I've spent a lot of time online trying to find a nice in the background motorcycle, sorry about that. But I've spent a lot of time online trying to figure out what kind of a reservoir will fit in the restricted area I have. And then with this color, it looks good for my engine compartment. And yeah, I'm super pleased how that turned out. So I'll bring you back when I figured out where to put it and what kind of a standoff situation I've got going on. I'll bring you back. Okay, so I've put some water in here, and it's absolutely dry, so it's not leaking. I did have to put a little sealant on the plug, but actually no big deal. And then I don't remember which one of these is positive and which one of these are negative, but let's see what happens here. Yep. I don't know if you can see the water shooting out of there, but that looks like pretty good stream. Yep. I don't know if that's showing up, but okay, so I would say the plumbing is good on this one. I'll bring you back when I find a place to put it. Okay, getting ready to install this guy. I found a spot for it, but it's up against the firewall, and with the new wiring harness, it needed to be spaced out. So I have 3D printed these spacers. This is PETG, and I've done a quick little glue job on them so they stay in place. But the next step is to kind of hold this in place and transfer these hole locations, drill a couple of holes, put a couple of riv nuts in it, and mount this guy. I've got some new stainless steel screws, the right length, that look pretty good. So let me show you the location, and then off camera I'm going to transfer these locations and drill and install those rib nuts. I don't know that anyone would be interested in that process, and it's going to be difficult to film anyway. As you've seen in an earlier clip, it's all ready to go, and I've got the windshield in now, and I've got the windshield wipers on, and I've got the plumbing done for the sprayer, centrally located. And to tell you the truth, I don't really give a shit if this doesn't hardly work. Just a little something. It's not like this is going to be an everyday daily driver. Don't really care. Just a little something, just to say it has it. That's all I'm looking for. And I think this project is going well. So let me bring you back in the next clip, and I'll show you what I'm thinking about for mounting. Okay, so here's where I'm thinking to mount it at. So this is the main wiring harness, and I wanted to kind of occupy this general region. This is the plumbing that I had previously done, and the wiring that's going to go to that pump. It's kind of in the way now, but the plan is to mount it on this surface, and because of this, the surface is right here, but I've got this wiring harness in the way, so that's why I did those 3D printed standoffs. So the next step is to kind of butt this up, kind of find its happy place, and mark holes, those two holes. And then I will drill holes in this face and install those rib nuts. And I'll bring it back after I've done that and got it mounted. Then it'll just be a matter of putting some connectors on this guy, cutting this hose to width, to length, and yeah, another project is coming to fruition. Really excited how this is going and how it's looking. So let me bring you back after I have it mounted. Okay, so bringing you back for another quick clip. It was a really tight area to even just drill that fiberglass section to install the riv nuts. I'm going to go with the steel ones, and I've got a 90-degree installer there, so I think I can get that in. I'm going to go with the steel ones, and then I've got this transfer punch section. You can see That's how I kind of figured out where the holes needed to be. And then I've got this right angle attachment there. So this is the right angle one. It got a little Western. And then I've got this small gripper. And so I started with the small, and so these would go right into the DeWalt attachment. And then I found I had to modify a drill bit to get to the right size. But yeah, so it was a little fun drilling those holes, but I don't expect too much difficulty now in installing these rib nuts. And then I'll bring you back when I've got the new reservoir installed. Okay, so here's the final installation. I have checked polarity on the wiring, and I used some of those 90-degree 1/4 inch female electrical connectors that I purchased for a previous episode, and it all fit good. And I used the same material like loom wrap. Looks all pretty professional to me. And I've got this guy. Before I did anything, I had an extra piece come out the side, and I tested it, and it took just a tiny bit of suck to prime the pump. So if you're doing this, realize that, hey, if it's not working, it might not be a polarity issue, it might just be a priming issue. So there's now enough fluid in the container that it's working. So I did have it pumping out the side, working good. So I still need to make sure that it's going to work good with this guy. And like I said, I'm just looking for a little bit of something. I'm not looking for production quality Ford, Chevy deal, just something. So I think it looks good in the engine compartment. Here it is, stepped off from the fire well with the 3D printed spacers that I did. And then let's see here, you can see at least this side got the stainless steel mounting. And then I don't think you can really see the wiring, but I think that container looks good in comparison with a previously installed overflow container. So overall, I'm really pleased with how this this washer looks. Maybe I should put some kind of a label on this guy. I don't know if I mentioned it, but I put a little bit of I put a hole there for venting to atmospheric pressure. Just got a tiny bit of water there. And yeah, I really like how that looks. The next clip will be a video on how it performs. So I'll bring you back when I'm ready to do that. Okay, I'm sure you guys were telling me the whole time at the beginning of this video that this was not a good position, and I knew there was going to be some challenges, but just like you thought was going to happen, I can't get the stream position just right. So it either shoots way over the car or has a hard time making it over this lip. And nothing I can do currently to get it to stream just right. It's just too powerful. Just too powerful. It shoots right over the car. I can't find a happy medium. So I need to think about that. Think about what the next step in this project is. So when I think of that, I guess maybe I'll try and come up with some experiments and try some stuff, and maybe change the flow rate or put in a filter, or I just don't know yet, but I'm sure I'll figure it out in the long run. So I'll bring you back when I think of something.
1 hour later.
Okay, so here's plan B. I had these two nozzles that I bought, and they didn't have enough shank on here for me to install them in the location that I wanted. So then I bought the version from Gray's that had like a longer threaded section. And so I started experimenting with these guys. I have 2 of them and probably not going to focus, but this original one has some really tiny, tiny little holes. And I've been playing around sticking these guys on, and I kept opening up the holes. And then I don't know if you can see that, but these holes are now 104. What is that? 7/64. And I think that's gonna be a pretty good compromise. It splutters and it's really reduced the distance, and I'm hoping that I can now drill the ones actually on the car to this diameter and give it another shot. So yeah, these just unscrew, so I don't have to take the whole thing out. And I already tried. This one doesn't fit the one on there, so I'll be pulling off these little individual nozzles and drilling the one on the car, and let's see what happens. I'll bring it back. Okay, this is probably version 1.0. It makes a freaking mess, but at least I got water on the windshield. Oh man, that's awful, but that's what I got. I was just looking for something, a little something, and that's what I got. So I'm gonna call that a partial win. Yeah, let me bring you back for an ending. Hold on. Okay, well, that turned into a little bit of a shit show. I think that's version 1.0, and I just needed a little something, want a little something, and that's what I got, a little something. I am not proud of that, but maybe version 2.0 will come out later, but I've got a functional water squirter, and yeah. So I appreciate you guys coming along. I need to get editing on this video. I want to get it out by this Friday. I appreciate you coming along. I hope you learned something. I think I learned something, but I'm not really sure what that is. I have to think about it a bit. But thanks for coming. Thanks for watching. I appreciate the comments. And until the next video, bye. There it is right there. Good enough for now.